Welcome back to a brand new episode of
I got some facts. Ain't all of them gonna be fun, but I promise we will learn longer.
Do you know how many nuclear weapons the United States has lost? I'm your host, Dr. Diploma. I'm already not having fun, so I hope you can join me. Before we answer the question, we need to understand what a broken arrow event is. A broken arrow event is defined as an unexpected event involving nuclear weapons that results in the accidental launching, firing, detonation, theft, or loss of the weapon. Thankfully, there haven't been any accidental detonations. That's something I think we'd know about. Since the 1950s, there have been 32 nuclear accidents that we would define as broken arrow events. To date, several American nuclear weapons have been lost and, as far as we know, never recovered. How much nuclear material has the world lost is an even scarier question, especially because some of it's been stolen. And since we're on the topic, let's look at the scope of the world. The Soviet Union really embraced nuclear technology, definitely not in the safest regards. I think most of us know about Chernobyl and some of these other events and things that have happened. One thing that a lot of people might not know about is that they had something called nuclear batteries, and that they would power remote light stations, as far as like lighthouses, weather stations, I'd imagine probably radar and other military things that we might not yet know about. And they did this with these nuclear batteries that could stay there for a few years. When the Soviet Union collapsed, which was absolute turmoil, one thing that happened during the collapse of the Soviet Union was an absolute disregard and overall lack of accountability for these far-off weather stations, lighthouses, and things that were powered by these nuclear batteries. When the Russian Federation officials went to go check a lot of these remote places, years now after the collapse of the Soviet Union, there was whole batteries missing, there was facilities totally, absolutely broken into, and those things were taken. And we've had actors as far as Al-Qaeda claim that they have access and have possession of nuclear material. The Soviets, of course, didn't keep accurate records of what nuclear productions and batteries and materials were made. It's really hard and scary to determine the exact amount of what has been lost or stolen. Let's add another question to our quandary today. How much nuclear material does one need to construct an atomic bomb? We found an article published in 1995 from the Natural Resources Defense Council, or the NRDC, that explains that as little as 2 kilograms of plutonium, or about 4 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, are required to produce a yield of 10 kilotons. They list at the top of the article that nuclear explosions can be constructed with far less material than currently acknowledged by the International Atomic Energy Agency. The article quotes a bomb using a little more than 2 pounds of stolen or recovered plutonium could destroy an area of 40 square blocks. Imagine how many people and what types of things can carry 2 pounds. Of course, these things are radioactive. There's ways to track it and find it, but if you don't look for it, it can kind of move anywhere with anyone if it's in the right situation. There have been times that nuclear employees, say security guards, scientists, techs at these nuclear, even power sites, have, at the risk of themselves, future cancers, and future birth defects, taken the highly enriched materials, uranium, plutonium, to help then sell to terrorist organizations, drug cartels, weird, super awful things. And that's definitely one of the reasons we're talking about it on No Fun Fun Facts. Another thing to talk about when we're bringing up nuclear material, especially rogue actors making threats of use or possession of nuclear devices, are dirty bombs or salted nukes. A dirty bomb is a bomb used to release radioactive material. It doesn't necessarily have to be a radioactive device. If you put any type of radioactive material even in or near conventional weapons or explosives, it can still spread that material over a large area and contaminate it with radioactivity, which can contaminate water sources, the food that you eat, the medicine that you need to use, the doctors that are going to hopefully administer that medicine. Radiation sickness is definitely a no fun fact for the future. It's really terrible, really awful. And if you're interested at all, definitely take a look into it because it's something I think we should all know about. A salted nuke is a radiological weapon designed to produce enhanced quantities of radioactive fallout, rendering a large area uninhabitable. Superpower status of nations are built on the destructive nature of nuclear devices. The pressure, the heat, the light that they produce can vaporize people instantly and make things really, really terrible for the people that do survive, generally covered in burns. Some of them could be blind or deaf depending on the proximity to the bomb. But salted nukes are a whole other dirty and crazy proposition. The whole idea is to have the general force of a nuclear device, but instead of focusing on things like the heat and the pressure and the light that is going to really, really affect and hurt people, a salted nuke is basically the nuclear weapons equivalent of a dirty bomb. The purpose is to irradiate as large an area as possible, make it uninhabitable for future civilizations. It's not just tribes, it's not just states, it's not just nations. We have the technology to theoretically make swaths of the earth completely uninhabitable for hundreds or thousands of years. It's really interesting. The reason that salted nukes are called salted nukes is from the Bible stories and the overall eventual military tactics of salting the earth, which a military or a conquering force, if they didn't want this land, they just didn't want other people to have it, they would run and plow salt through the earth, making sure that it would take generations for that earth to be clear enough, that topsoil to have enough nutrients and not just be choked out by the salt, to sustain life and overall food qualities and quantities. It's very hard to impossible to harvest grain and any type of vegetation that you need to if the earth is filled with salt. If you find a place full of salt, that's not a good place to grow. And so they would make places full of salt. Salted nukes and dirty bombs are absolutely terrifying. The fact that we don't know how much nuclear material has been lost overall or stolen, largely because you have things like black markets involved nowadays in the modern era with Iran and North Korea, allegedly. Please don't kill me or send anyone to find me. The fact that the Soviet Union did not keep track of what was produced and then later what was installed as far as these nuclear batteries, and even they didn't accurately report how many nuclear, say, subs and other type of nuclear powered devices and vehicles were lost, it really begs the question, how much nuclear material is spread around the world? How much is possessed by people that we don't want to have it? So let's get to the question that we first asked at hand. How many nuclear weapons has the United States lost? The answer is 6. If you want to take a look, we have sources listed below. And of course, we're going to put up some examples here so that you can see some of the times and the situations. There's varied stories from plane crashes to, I believe, also submarines and things like that that have been lost by the US. There's countless times the Soviet Union has had similar things like that happen. As being those major nuclear superpowers, most of them lost have been the United States and the Soviet Union, but there have been others from other regimes and nations and states that do have nuclear arsenals. Our second question, how much nuclear material has been lost or stolen? We don't have an answer. We just know the amount on the black market is increasing. There have been more and more situations and times that they have found people that shouldn't have nuclear weapons having nuclear weapons, from international undercover agents and things of people posing to buy or to sell those types of materials. Those situations and the cases have only increased in the last few years. There have been countless stories and tellings of nuclear scientists and of mostly now Russian Federation after the nuclear, holy act, Jesus Christ. How much nuclear material does how much nuclear material does one, say C4, nitroglycerin, ammonium nitrate, things that you can use to construct devices, which I just realized I gave you some ingredients, but you probably already knew about that if you're that kind of person. Anyway, kind of like a dirty bomb, it's like a dirty bomb version of a nuclear device, where the prime... Be safe, I love